Basically, again, as I said, we today what is happening is people are becoming more individualistic as human beings, and they want a say in things that they are doing in life. Whatever they do in life, they want to have a say, including the brands that they buy. So companies are realizing, as I had told you earlier, that it is not going to be about commanding and controlling consumers anymore. It is going to be collaborating with them.
Welcome you all of Vision Board. So in this episode, generally we bring CMOs and marketing leaders from corporate, and we are live from last 1.5 months, and we're very overwhelmed by the response from our marketeer community. Today we have a very special guest who spent 20 years of his early career in corporate side, and now from almost last 10 years that he is into education space. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Anand Narasimha from Jagdish Seth School of Management. Welcome, Mr. Anand.
Thank you, Arindam.
Okay, so Mr. Anand, my first question would be that as you have spent early of his career in the corporate side, 20 years, I believe 25 years that you spent the corporate side, and now you are into academic space. So, what the change that you see, in both the side, of the.
Basically, the reason for my moving to academia was very simple. That I had worked for about 25 years in corporate, and what happens in the corporate sector is after you reach a certain level, it starts becoming more of the same. So I think I had my share of the corporate sector, and I got whatever I needed to do. So I decided that I need to change track and do something a little more meaningful than just earning revenue for some companies. So that actually drove me to think, and I said, what should I do? And I thought it will be interesting to move to academics because it gives me an opportunity to share my learning and experience with young people. The other thing I felt is that there are not enough people from the corporate moving over to academics, especially in the management space. And I think it's very important because management is a practice-oriented profession, a practice-oriented degree, and it is people with a lot of corporate experience and that can bring real-world flavor into the learning. So I thought I need to do my bit, and that is what drove me to academics. I thought it will be a natural transition.
Yes.
And that's the main reason, actually.
Yeah, interesting. So, Mr. Anand, that you spent a decade, in marketing space. That you must have seen the era that when that the TV, print, used to lead the that in the marketing mix. And now, last maybe 5-6 years, especially during the pandemic, digital or the online taking the the center stage.
It's an interesting question and often asked, by many people. So I will divide the marketing in my career into two phases. Phase one is what I call the pre-digital era, when there was no internet. And the second is the post-digital era where there is internet and digital platforms. So there are about 4 or 5 key changes that have happened between the pre-digital era and the post-digital era. The first thing I like to say is that in the way we practice marketing, in the pre-digital era, marketing was very much about the power of creativity and ideas and imagination. A lot of work that we did was based on our intuition and on our hunches. There was very limited market research that happened, if at all, and it would be relatively not representative of the entire population. It would be a sample, and it would be a lag indicator. You did the research, then you got the findings and all that. Today, the two new things that have come into marketing. So the power of creativity is still important because ultimately marketing is all about ideas and creativity. But what has got added to it post the digital era are two more things, data and technology. So if I were to talk about the marketing today, in my language, it is the power of creativity plus the magic of technology plus the beauty of data. Now, what this really means is today a lot of technology has come into marketing, like artificial intelligence, IoT, predictive analytics, all these things, the new age technologies. And second is we have a lot of data. As a result of this, a lot of data is getting generated, real time, large amounts of data. So today, a marketeer cannot only be a creative person, cannot only be a person with strong intuition and imagination. That is important, still remains important, but must be somebody who is comfortable using technology and is also comfortable working with data. So the new age marketing is about the power of creativity, the beauty of data, and the magic of technology. So that is one change. Earlier, there was no tech and data.
Yeah.
The second change is that as a result of this internet and all, a lot of power has got shifted into the hands of consumers, into the hands of users. We keep talking about things like user generated content and stuff like that. So the entire paradigm of marketing from the old days, where it was a command and control paradigm, I could command the customer. As a marketeer, I would be sitting and talking at the customer and telling him that this is what I'll give you, you take it or leave it. Today, it is the other way around. The power is shifted to the hands of the customer. So we have moved from a command and control marketing to a collaborate and co-create marketing. We have to collaborate with our customers. We have to co-create with our customers. We cannot push them around anymore. So that's the second shift. The third shift, and an important shift, is that the way we market, as you said, print, television, the whole mantra was the brand talked and people listened. So the brand said, hello, see me, this is what I do for you. And people would listen to you, whether it was on TV or radio and print. Today, the mantra is the brand does and people talk. So brands can't only talk, they have to do things which are meaningful to consumers, and consumers are the ones who talk about it, whether in terms of social media conversations, whether in terms of ratings, etc. So that's the third shift. The next one really is that we are an because of the internet and the way things are. It is an over communicated society. From the time you wake up till you get to bed, the sheer number of messages you have to deal with is huge. And there is a surplus of products and services in any category. If you take any category compared to 20 years back, where there may have been 2-3 brands, today there are 20. Now, in such a scenario, the whole approach has to move from intrusion to invitation. In other words, traditional marketing through print and television was intrusive. It intruded into your life. You didn't buy a TV to see ads, or you didn't pick up a newspaper to. So these ads or these marketing messages would intrude into your life. Today, you cannot intrude. People will shut you out.
Yes.
So you have to be invitational rather than being intrusive. The brand must invite consumers into its world. It must make itself so inviting that consumers want to go to the space or the world of the brand. It cannot try to force itself into the world of consumers. So the whole point is about mind space to life space. So earlier it was all about capturing mind space, shouting, getting. Today, mind space is a hygiene factor. Just getting mind space is not good enough. What you have to do is you have to get life space, which means brand must tell consumers what role is it playing in their lives? How is it adding value to their lives? What problems in their lives is this brand solving? How will this brand change the way they live, work, do whatever? And the last change is the breaking of entry barriers. In the pre-internet era, large companies were able to create entry barriers for small new players. These entry barriers was typically distribution, because physical distribution is a very difficult thing to achieve in a large country like India. So large companies had distribution, small companies wouldn't be able to compete with them on that. Two, large companies had large marketing budgets, so they could spend huge monies on television, right? Now, what has happened is with the internet, there is a democratization of sorts. So if you look at, for example, distribution, I don't have to set up a physical distribution at all. Even if I'm a small player, I can go through Amazon or any e-commerce channel. I don't have to spend tons of money on IPL, television ads or whatever. I can just put a good video on YouTube. And if it is good, it will get viral. People will see it free of cost. I can put content about my brand on social media and videos and content free of cost. If it is good, it will click, it will viral. So I don't have to spend anything. So these artificial entry barriers, which were there in the pre-digital era, have also broken down. So even a small company can now do business and challenge a big guy.
Yes,
they don't have to worry about those things. So these, in my view, are some of the fundamental shifts that have happened pre-digital and post-digital.
Very well said, Mr. Anand. And now, from this thought only, there is a one more that ask that most of the time that we get, especially on the B2B side of the marketeer. Now in B2C, that you can drive emotional connect maybe with some very nice TV commercials and all. And earlier in B2B especially, so they used to do events and exhibitions where they can meet the customer. They can they used to get the opportunity to have to create some kind of a connect with the customer.
Yeah.
But now in this virtual world, that is that emotional connect is getting challenged, where everything is become very mechanical in nature.
Yeah.
What's your view? What do you suggest?
Okay, so a couple of things. Firstly, that today marketing has to be phygital. Phygital means both physical and digital. It's not either or, it is both.
Yeah.
Of course, the weightage will depend on the nature of your business and who you are targeting. However, the lack of physical connect is a temporary thing. It has happened primarily due to the pandemic, and as things open out and hopefully we are able to stabilize, the physical world will reopen. So it's not a permanent issue. Yeah. Now coming to the issue of connecting a B2B brand with consumers emotionally versus rationally. See, there are two things, and this is a study that LinkedIn corroborated. When you do brand marketing today, there are essentially, and not today, it has been there earlier, but in the new context, there is what we call brand building and performance marketing.
Performance marketing, yeah.
So brand building is what you do at the top of the marketing funnel. It's all about creating an image, awareness, emotion, and a connection for your brand. And performance marketing is what you do at the bottom of the funnel, which is generating leads and nurturing those leads and converting those leads. Now, one of the myths that existed was that B2B companies or B2B businesses need not invest in brand building, and they can only get away with investing in performance marketing.
Yeah.
This was a myth. A lot of studies have shown otherwise. In fact, interestingly, there's been a study done by LinkedIn on B2B marketers and the impact of B2B marketing. This is a global study done by LinkedIn. And what they discovered was quite opposite to what the general belief was. Yeah. What this study revealed is that if you don't, as a B2B business, if you don't do brand building, your performance marketing ROI goes down. As compared to B2B companies which are investing both in brand building and performance marketing, the brand building is actually positively impacting the ROI of performance marketing. So you need to do both. The brand building is more about connecting through emotions and all, and even on virtual platforms, you can create that engagement and connect. The word is engagement. Whether you do something physically or virtually, you have to engage your customer. If you don't engage, it doesn't matter whether you do physically or virtually. So engagement is the name of the game, and performance marketing and brand building must go hand in hand.
Yes.
The old saying that the job of branding is to make selling easier still holds true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Exactly.
the reason why you do brand building is to make the job of your sales guys easier.
Mm.
So that holds true even today, and it holds true both in the virtual world and in the physical world. So my point really is that today you need a combination of high touch and high tech.
Mm.
Unfortunately, a lot of companies are overlooking the touch part
Mm.
and becoming tech.
Yes.
But ultimately, who is your customer? Even if it's a B2B customer, it's a human being,
Yeah.
not a robot. You're not selling to a robot, you're selling to a human being or a bunch of human beings. And these human beings are emotional, have strong emotions as people. And
Yes.
therefore, you have to balance high tech and high touch. And today, unfortunately, with all this tech happening and all these tools, people are forgetting the touch part.
Mm.
Any good business, whether it's B2B, B2C, any category, must have a good combination of touch and tech. If
Yeah.
you lose the touch, you will become very mechanical, as you said. So
Yes.
that's my take on this.
And this is the exact, the message that we want to, convey to this marketing community. That so that's the happening in the market. Whenever there's a one trend, where right now everyone's talking about the AI, ML, performance
Hmm.
marketing,
Hmm.
and we tend to forget that what's the basic fundamental of the marketing is all about.
Absolutely.
So as you rightly said that the role of the branding is to help sales guides so that they can go and sell the product.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
And actually, what you said is getting carried away by technology is
yeah,
basically like you start worshipping the ritual and you
yeah,
forget the God.
you don't know God.
The
Yeah,
God is marketing,
yes,
tools are tech.
enabler.
But we
Yeah,
forget the God and we start worshipping the ritual. And that is a danger we have to avoid.
yeah, exactly. So now, Mr. Anand, that so now we're seeing that okay, second wave is over, and hopefully third wave is not going to be as serious as second wave. We can see that that retailer, the retails and shopping malls, they're opening up. But that when you go and talk to them, they're still struggling because the customer like us, we become so used to buying things online, and they're very skeptical that whether near future this will be the habit that will going to continue, or again we can see the footfall in our stores.
Okay, it's an interesting question. So obviously the pandemic skewed buying towards the online
Yeah.
space, correct? Because you were not able to go out and buy. All
Yes.
right. Uh, Having said that, if you look at a country like India and you look at data, okay, only about 3 to 4% of retail sales currently comes through e-commerce. Still 98% of sales comes through physical brick and mortar channels. The second is we often tend to forget that during the pandemic, while the online guys picked up for obvious reasons, the Kirana shops were also a big savior.
Yeah.
We forget that. So
Yeah.
when we talk about brick and mortar, we only think of malls and big format stores and all that. But we forget that in India, the organized or modern retail again is only about 25% of the total physical retail, which means 75-80% are still small format neighborhood Kirana stores. So if you actually look at data during the pandemic, the e-commerce boomed, but so did the Kirana stores,
Yeah.
the friendly neighborhood
Yeah.
Kirana stores.
Yes.
So it would not be right to say that during the pandemic, the physical retail was killed. It was certain types of physical retail suffered, like malls and
Yeah.
big format stores. That's point number one. Point number two is that whether this trend is going to continue, whether footfalls are going to increase, uh, my view is it will, because we have just got back to normalcy.
Yeah.
And slowly, as we open out and things become more normal, we will see return of footfalls into the big format retail. However, going forward, there is a very important point here. The point is that the shopping okay, is going to get divided in for any individual is going to get divided into two types of shopping. This is my view. One is utility shopping and the other is experiential shopping. Utility shopping means you already have a shopping list. You know, ये वाली चाय मंगानी है, ये वाला detergent मंगाना है, सब्जी मंगानी है. तो वो तो तुमको, why would you the hell you want to make an effort to go into a market, you know, rather be, you know, compete in the traffic, struggle to find parking space, spend time in the store for a utility purchase, because you just get it on your doorstep online. However, there is another kind of purchase which will always be there, which is experiential purchase, which is that these are categories you want to see, touch, feel before you buy. Okay. And those kind of categories will continue to thrive in the brick and mortar retail. So I think the lesson for the brick and mortar retailers is going to be that they have to move towards experiential categories and experiential selling, and their share in the utility kind of products is going to come down. That's going to shift into the e-commerce space going forward, which is already happening. But what is going to continue is the see, touch, feel experiential categories. If you look at even the brick and mortar food and grocery retailers, food and grocery is essentially a utility.
Yes.
Once you have decided the brand, you just keep reordering it. They are also offering online. So today, even a metro cash and carry or a big bazaar or a star bazaar within a 10-kilometer, 5-kilometer radius of their store is offering home delivery.
Yes.
And even the Kirana guys have been offering home delivery to their regular customers since many ages, including credit. You just pay at the end of the month. So the point is that brick and mortar retail will have to shift to more experiential driven categories, and the online space will get dominated by utility categories. So that is the way it's going to pan out in my view.
Talk a lot about consumer co-creation. So we definitely would like to know more about it. That what you mean by consumer co-creation.
So consumer co-creation is a very interesting thing. Basically, again, as I said, we today what is happening is people are becoming more individualistic as human beings, and they want a say in things that they are doing in life. Whatever they do in life, they want to have a say, including the brands that they buy. So companies are realizing, as I had told you earlier, that it is not going to be about commanding and controlling consumers anymore. It is going to be collaborating with them. And one of the very effective ways of collaborating with consumers and engaging them is this whole idea of co-creation. Co-creation, as the word suggests, is all about involving the customer in creating your brand or creating interventions of your brand. So typically co-creation actually happens in two broad areas. One is co-creation of products, which is you involve consumers in creating your products and services and create them in an innovative way. And the second is co-creation of content, what we typically call user-generated content. You ask consumers to create content for you. You don't create content. So there are a lot of interesting new age brands that have done this very successfully. So I'll just give you two examples, if I may, so that this becomes clearer. So one interesting example is of co-creation of content is GoPro cameras. Now GoPro is an adventure camera. What GoPro did is they didn't create a single ad or a communication on their own. They just created a YouTube channel. They collaborated with YouTube and asked their customers to post videos. So the reason why you put a GoPro on your head is if you are doing skydiving or scuba diving or any of those, you want to record it from your point of view. So what started happening is a lot of videos started getting posted by people. In fact, GoPro's whole philosophy is don't tell it, show it and share it. So and the entire marketing communication of GoPro is user generated. They don't create a single communication from their side. It's all the users putting. What that actually did was help them expand their market. So GoPro was a niche product. It was basically for adventure enthusiasts. But when people started seeing so many interesting videos, even if they were not adventure enthusiasts, they said, this is a good idea to buy this camera. I may not skydive, but I can record, when I play cricket with my son, or, I can shoot a birthday party, or I can shoot a small holiday that we have gone to with this perspective. It actually opened up the market. So that's a great example of co-creation of content. Co-creation of product, a very interesting brand called Glossier. Glossier is a beauty and cosmetics brand in the US, launched in 2008. Not too far back, by a young entrepreneur, Emily Wise, only in her early 20s. This brand actually began as a blog. So what Emily Wise did is she started a beauty blog. She was a blogger and she started a beauty blog where she started asking young women to talk about their concept of beauty, their views on beauty products, etc., etc. Her blog became very popular. What she realized in the blog is basically net what consumers told her in the blog is that the traditional established beauty brands are letting me down. They don't understand me. They don't understand my needs. They are not creating products that are actually for me. They just create products and expect me to buy it. So that gave her an idea that, look, there is a gap. There is a pain point, and young beauty, millennials, young women, they are not relating to these big L'Oreals and all these of the world because they feel these guys don't understand them. They don't talk to them. They don't listen to them. They just create products and say, you want this, buy it. So she then decided that why don't I create a line of products which meet the requirements and address these issues of these young millennial women, and I will co-create these products with them. I will ask them that what kind of a lipstick should we make for you? What kind of a mascara would you like? And she started co-creating products. And today, Glossier is one of the fastest growing beauty brands in the world. It's giving a run for its money to the big, large established beauty brands. So basically, their whole philosophy is beauty products inspired by real life. And this whole conversation, the blog, the co-creation is what the brand is built on. And in fact, they don't call themselves as a brand. They say we are not a range of beauty products. We are a people-powered beauty ecosystem. That is how they describe their business. And so these are just two examples of co-creation. A lot of other companies have also started doing it. Because the point is one point I want to make is co-creation is more than just listening to your customers. So every good marketing company listens to the customer. Often a lot of people, confuse co-creation as listening to. That's not co-creation. Co-creation is, yes, listening to your customers, but creating content done by them or using content that they have made. And you have collaborated in putting that content, or developing products that they have suggested or they have come up with the idea and you are creating it with them. So it is more than just listening to customers. So that is what co-creation is all about, and it's a fantastic tool for modern marketeers because brands that are doing this are becoming highly successful. Consumers are saying, hey, these guys are understanding me, they are giving me a say in what they are doing.
So we talked about brand marketing from the corporate side of the business. So now I come back to the space that where currently you are into, which is your education and academics. And we strongly feel that when the new marketeer, those are right now getting trained in those academics, and we also keep in mind that how we can make sure that the content or the education system that we are into, it has some real world touch as well. So what's your perspective?
Okay, first and foremost, I think there is a problem in education, especially management education at an overall level. The problem really is that the industry is moving faster than the education.
Yeah.
So the education has been lagging. The in changes in the industry are moving faster than the changes in the education. The education guys are still caught behind, by and large.
Right.
So that is the genesis of the problem. The education system, I'm talking more in context of the management education, business education, is not keeping pace with the industry. Although the irony is that their customer is the industry. I mean, any MBA school or college is creating graduates to put them in industry, either take jobs or become entrepreneurs. Either way, you are in business,
Yes.
whether you take up a job or become. But the irony is that they are the customers, but the industry is not keeping pace with the customer. It's a classic case of being caught in a time warp and being caught in a status quo. The customer is changing faster than you are. Now, having said that, what is the way out? I mean, that is more important. Of course, I'm not saying that every business school is like that, but I'm talking in a by and large sense. So, according to me, there are 2-3 important things we must keep in mind. The first and foremost thing is a shift in the mindset. You know, when we look at a degree or an education, so I will not even use the word degree. When somebody is doing a program, let's say somebody is enrolling into an MBA program, okay, or the typical approach is acha finance karna hai ya marketing karna hai acha. I think the focus has to shift from what to learn to what problems do you want to solve.
Yeah.
So I come to a business school and often, you know, as a student after engineering or graduate, ask, what do you want to learn, yaar? क्या कोर्स करना चाहता है? तो वो कहेगा मुझे MBA करना है या मुझे. I think that question has to be completely rephrased in today's context, and not just for MBA, in any kind of education, is that it is not about what you want to learn. It is about what problem are you excited to solve. So if supposing, and the problem could be a business problem, it could be a social problem, it could be an environmental problem, it could be a governance problem, whatever the problem be. But if we tell our graduates or our young people that don't worry about what do you want to learn, first think about what problem do you want to solve. As an individual, each one will have their own interests. And once you're clear on what problem you solve, then you structure what you want to learn around it. So I think the whole focus has to be shifted from learning and, you know, assimilating knowledge for the sake of a degree to actually deciding what problem you want to solve and assimilating knowledge related to solving that problem. That's the first important shift that needs to be made. The second important thing is, I think, faculty in business, and that's why I was stressing on the importance of having industry experienced faculty, especially in business schools, has to stay updated and concurrent with what is happening in the industry. If faculty is not abreast with what is happening in the industry, how are they going to tell the students what is relevant?
Exactly.
Or what is outdated? That, of course, faculty should have some basic industry experience, but the point is, once you're moved into academics, you must not cut off your umbilical cord with it. I find a lot of people like that, they work, they move, and then they suddenly cut off from the industry. In my case, I'll tell you my personal experience. I still keep very close touch with the industry, even though now I'm into academics, through various ways, by participating in talks, writing, addressing, doing courses for executives, you know, even attending a lot of, you know, seminars or webinars which are relevant to my area. And also, I have a network of friends. I keep in touch with them to find out, hey, what's happening? Tell me. And I keep consulting with startups. One of the good ways is to keep consulting with even if you have become an academician, keep consulting with companies, especially startups. The reason startups are a good place to consult is because they are into new age stuff. So you will know the new age stuff. So that is very important. And the last thing is, so I talked about three things. One is focusing on learning by solving, learning by doing, focusing on what problem do you want to solve and then create, gather knowledge around it. Second is teachers and faculty needing to be abreast and up to date with what's happening. And the last thing is, today, you know, things are changing very fast. What is relevant today will become irrelevant for 4 months later.
Yeah.
It's a very dynamic situation. So we must impart in students the art of self-learning. You know, because if you do a 2-year MBA, you can't teach everything. And if you teach after 4 years, a lot of it is becoming irrelevant. So unless you teach students the art of self-learning, and there are ways of doing it in the way you design your course and all, you should, as a teacher, not give them everything. Just, you know, give them the appetizer. Whet their appetite and let them then start discovering. So, for example, one of the things we do in our school is, in any course, whether it's a digital marketing course, we will teach them certain things. But we do two things. One is we bring in a lot of industry experts to supplement what we are teaching them. Two is we make them roll up their sleeves and do stuff. So digital marketing, you can keep giving gyan about SEO, SEM, you know, PPC, social media. But if you don't make the students create a website, actually do the SEO, SEM, do the, you know, video, do social media marketing, look at Google Analytics, they will not learn. So
go beyond the theoretical.
Learning by solving, which means we need to keep giving them exercises and making them do it, so that when they go to the a digital marketing job from day one, they know how to do it. They don't say, "हाँ मेरे को तो degree, but मुझे नहीं पता कैसे website design करते." You know, this is the real truth. And the second thing we do is we ask them to do a lot of certifications on their own. So we say, "चलो ये हमने बता दिया आपको. These are the exercises and the projects and assignments you need to do," which is all about doing, applying, and interaction with a lot of industry guys through guest lectures and all, so that they're abreast. And more important, start studying on your own. These are 4 certifications you have to do if you want to clear this course. In addition to our own assessments, these are 4 certifications: HubSpot, Google, this, that. Ye karna hai. That is a must do to clear the course. The moment they start doing those, they get the habit of self-learning. So I think, to cut a long story short, 3 important things. Move from what you want to learn to what problem you want to solve. 2 is keep yourself abreast and contemporary and updated, and make students apply what you have taught them in a real world situation. And 3rd is to teach them how to become self-learners, so that once they graduate, and even there is no professor, they know how to learn.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a very, you know, that interesting, you know, thoughts, and especially actually we're end of our discussion, and we really enjoyed, and I'm sure that our audience today, you know, they get to learn, and they get to at least, you know, start thinking to take a different angle, especially, you know, that personally that I like the customer co-creation. Everyone's talk about that, you know, that think customer is the first approach, but are we really implementing it in the real world? That's a big question mark. So again, Mr. Anand, thank you for your time. I know taking your time to share your very interesting views with our audience, and you know, hopefully that that you found this discussion interesting. And if you have any queries from the audience, definitely again we'll touch back with you so that you can share your more thoughts around it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was a very, very interesting discussion. Thank you for inviting me. Because as a teacher, it's my job to share thoughts with the world at large. And thank you so much, and all the best. And if there's any further queries and all, I'll be happy to answer.